go live. But yeah, it sounds very different.
On a very small screen. Wow.
No
With a
monitors.
trackpad.
Oh no. I mean, you've got a mouse, surely. I mean,
it's somewhere around here, yes.
Lord. Your priorities right. Computer first, then everything else. Computer,
Well,
bed, fridge, job done. Like a true gamer.
I've set up my desk now. I've got the computer all set up and I've got the cables running around the room and stuff like that. All I've got to do is plug it in. The mouse, I believe, is still in a bag with some other cables.
That was the picture of the plug socket. I've just been explaining where you've been at. You still got the picture of the plug socket. This is champion. This is.
Have we still got it?
I don't know.
Hang on, let me find it.
If there's any Sparkies in the chat tonight, you'll get a good kick out of this. It's just so good.
Hang on. That's it.
2 set wall plugs. Now we have. What the hell is a 2 set wall plugs? We do have 2 set wall plugs. If you mean like double sockets, yeah. We just have the safe ones over here with the grounding and stuff, yeah. Yes, Sparkies are electricians. You're a Sparky by trade.
And guess what a chippy is? It's not somewhere where you buy your chips. I'm going to have to take a photo of it. I can't find it.
Terrible.
Trackpad, scrolling.
What is that, Smiley? What is it?
Hang on. Where's the phone gone?
Where's the Earth? How do you not die on a daily basis? It's missing a pin. I mean, I'll give you that they're nice and neat in the compact. But you'd be forever shitting yourself whenever you plug something in. That's the one sat above the deep fat fryer.
Hang on.
It's acceptable if it's kitchen. In the state of my kitchen at the moment, I've been addicted to Diablo for like 5 days now. Everybody's the same though. All the plug socket by the fryer is always caked in something. Now that's posh. Look at that one. That's some posh socket, that is. 2-pin American socket shake. That looks like it's got a gap behind it that you could get like a child's finger into. That's never a baby-proof one. Never. That is definitely a Danger Will Robinson moment, that is.
Oh my god, my phone's on low power as well now. Here we go. Right. Picture incoming. So
look at that.
The big problem I have with that is I can get like a plug in it, but the cable comes out the bottom of the plug and it has to go for like a right angle underneath. And guess what? Nothing fits in it.
That's a 30-year-old socket, that is, that was not intended for plugs nowadays. Oh,
I don't even think the plug socket I've got was intended. Yeah, there's what you can't see there. There's a hole in the top of it as well. I don't trust it.
It's for drainage. That's what it is.
Dear.
Or for storing things in. Like cat tricks or something.
But yeah, so I was contemplating with taking the faceplate off and turning it upside down.
That's the third person today who said that now.
But either way, okay, I've got the electrician coming on Monday. He's going to replace the whole socket with a new one and move it up the wall.
Cool. Put some nice chunky trunking in there for you.
Yeah, turn off the breaker first. Yes, I will.
We will start in a minute time, just letting people get the flow back into them. It's been 2 weeks. In a long time.
Yeah, it's been 2 weeks.
Almost.
Well, the first week was because we were engaged in top secret squirrel activities, which we can't tell anyone about. The second week was because, well, I had moved house on the Monday. And yeah, place was a shit pit.
Baby squirrel.
So at the moment, for those of you who are not aware, I'm working on an old work laptop, trackpad, single screen, and yeah, can't play games on it. Dedicated graphics.
Well, we can tell you what we were doing. We just can't show you any of it. We were playing Ubisoft's new, was it a private, was it beta or an alpha now? Beta?
Not even that.
Game called Project U. YOU. It's kind of
No,
like a
just you.
project. Is it just you? Project U. It's kind of
Just
like a
letter U.
squad-based shooter PvE type experience. It kind of reminds me of Destiny crossed with other stuff. It's fun though.
I'd say Destiny crossed with a Division.
Maybe. Definitely a lot of Destiny input. But it was a good shooter. The guns feel good. The gameplay feels good. So yeah, we managed to get into the closed beta test. We were in the original one. It's so locked down at the moment. You're not allowed to take screenshots. You're not allowed to stream it, record it, broadcast it in any way, tell anybody anything really about it other than a vague what it is. And they've overlaid like a background security moniker logo all over your screen. It's kind of like it's there, but it's kind of faded out. And each one, I'm guessing, is individual. So if somebody streams or leaks a video of it, then they're going to know exactly who the beta tester was who
Yeah,
leaked it. And
it had your Ubi name and ID
yeah,
across the screen.
yeah.
So any leaks,
And
come
you're
straight back to
completely,
the.
yeah. I think it's going to be cool when it's finished, but I don't think it's anywhere near done yet.
No.
As a concept, it's good, and the gameplay feels really cool.
Yeah, my fingers were aching by the end of the 4-hour gameplay period.
Yeah. But there's been that, and then there's been the D4 release, and I've been completely and utterly addicted to that. It's just not even funny anymore.
Oh, it's good.
Well, the first weekend, I think we did sort of like 16-hour days leveling and grinding to make sure we were up in front. We did nothing else apart from Diablo all weekend. Hence, my flat is in a state at the moment. I need to clean the kitchen, the floors, the bathroom, the dog, probably myself. It's been one of those like grungy gamer weekends. No fun. Yes, Diablos. It's all good. The new game's pretty good. Leaderboards are actually in the work now. No, leaderboards are done. No, they actually announced who was the top player of the day. They've actually fixed the leaderboards up. We're now waiting for Thursday, where they drop a maintenance patch, and then the week after we get all the changes from the nerfs they did. It's early stages, but still a great game. But enough of that. Shall we move on? Because otherwise I'll never be able to get back to grinding Diablo. So, for those of you who've not been here before, welcome. This is what we do every Tuesday afternoon. shoot the shit, give you some news on what's happening, what's not happening, give you a chance to interface with us and talk to us, find out who we are, and do some live feedback. So, welcome to Roundtable 112 this week. As usual, if you could, give us a moment of your time and some love and follows on our socials. They're all in the README channel, and it helps immensely. We're still of the opinion that we will probably lose our Twitter account over the refund. So any and all growth on the socials is amazing. So as I said, every Tuesday evening you get to catch up with the team, find out what we've been up to. And as usual, thank you for spending a little bit of your Tuesday evening with us. Let's get on with some news.
Is that one long URL or?
Is what now?
Huh? I'm just looking at what John posted, and I'm like, that's and then I realise it's three separate things.
3 separate things for the socials, yeah. So weekly maintenance is going to be tomorrow. We do our weekly maintenance every Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. UK. Windows updates, restart the machines, clear memory leaks, if you know, that sort of thing. Any updates, patches that need to go on, get done on a Wednesday, and the whole process usually takes us an hour and a half, something like that, usually. There's a little bit to do tomorrow. Nothing serious as far as I know, just update the rest of the plugins that we've been doing through the week. So I would expect an hour and a half.
Judging by the shenanigans, though, that I was having with Lost Island a few minutes ago.
Yeah. More on that in a minute under the ARC section then, and we can go over more of what's going on there. Community news then first. This is stuff that concerns everybody. So first off, thank you to everyone who's helped the Chill Out chat recently. We are, of course, undergoing a huge influx of players. And as you know, to top that off, we're the best server out there, as everybody would agree. So lots of players coming in. We've had a lot of disagreements in general. It's been sorted out very quickly, and usually with the help from the majority of those online. So thank you for that. It's much easier to deal with if everyone is calm, collected, and just lets it happen. If you are new here, please respect admins and moderators when asked to do something. They're here to help. They're here to keep the cluster running nice and smoothly, and they're not here to sort of admonish you or make you do things, or just, they're not on a power trip. They're here to keep the server running, to keep the chat smooth, and we're all about community here. Players playing with each other, having fun, having a good time, and we don't need the arguments. I know things are going to get a little bit unsettled as we grow. It's always going to happen, but in general, really, really, really impressed with how people have handled things. So thank you for that. We do intend on making rules a lot clearer. We had a discussion about that this morning. So we're putting together some notes. A new page is going to be prepared for the website, so new players can go right to the website, read our rules, the do's and don'ts of the cluster, our procedures, and how we deal with problems, such as bases and render, dyno sales, things like that. So there's going to be like a one-stop shop where you can point a new player to and go, right, okay, I know it's confusing. There's a lot of mods. There's a lot of customization. Start here. Read that. You'll understand a lot more. And then obviously after that, there's the website, there's the Discord, and people can get to grips with all the new things and ask questions if they need to. I suppose the last thing I wanted to add to that is if anyone has any suggestions to that, then let us know. If there are questions that keep coming up that are getting repetitive, and they will continue to keep coming up as the main server's shut down for official, we'll get more and more players. Let us know, and we'll add to those notes and try and make the process a little bit more sort of seamless for new people to understand what's going on.
Yeah, because we're a bit more hands-on, I would say, than a lot of other clusters out there in the way we try and run the servers and keep them running.
Yeah.
So people will be used to that level of interaction.
Yeah. I've heard this quite a few times from quite a few people, which actually does lead me to another thing, actually. We've had quite a few people reaching out via DMs, various channels, to let us know exactly how much they love the server and thanking us for the good work we do, that sort of stuff. And that is amazing and much, much appreciated. But for those that don't know, there is a section on the website where you can actually leave reviews, and we can start to build up a whole portfolio of people's experiences for other people to read when they get to the cluster and see exactly what other people think of it. It's one thing, sort of an admin or a server owner saying to you, "Yeah, this is the greatest server ever," but of course they're going to say that, right? So it means much more coming from the players. So if you haven't already, on the website there is a feedback section where you can leave a review. So that would be awesome if people can do that. Thank you, Tula. There we go. Links pouring in. So let's move on to some gamey type stuff. Should we do Ark first this week? It's taken a
Yeah.
backseat for the past few, so let's do Ark first. What have we got to talk about when the world of Ark?
There's an awful lot to talk about.
I think
But what's important is the question.
yeah, so let's break that down, I guess, to any changes that have happened recently. I don't think there's anything major, is there? There's
No,
obviously,
we
as we
haven't.
mentioned, what's going to happen at maintenance tomorrow and why we're addressing that, and then I guess Gaia as well.
Yeah, so we haven't over the last 2 weeks due to real life issues, haven't actually deployed anything significant to Arc. Obviously, like Marnie said, there's the maintenance tomorrow, but then there's also Gaia. So I'm going to address that. Gaia at the moment, the server is up and it's very playable to a point. Once you get to the point where you need the mechanical dinos, it's nigh on impossible to progress because the mechanic for building those dinos doesn't produce the right components for you. So you're kind of stuck at a point in time and you can't progress any further. Because of that, the players that were on Gaia have stopped playing, and the server's kind of dead. So I think what we're going to do with that, unless anyone's got any immediate objections to it, is we're going to close that server down. And anybody that spent any points on the Gaia server, we have a log of all your spend.
Yeah.
We will refund those points to your global points account.
Exactly. So you will get your shards back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's only fair.
The other train of thought, which we've dismissed, is wait and see what the update to Gaia 2 brings and then configure it or wipe it or whatever. But we're kind of the feeling, given that we have completely undefined timeframes on that, that will probably land exactly when ASA lands, and we're going to have our hands full building and provisioning new servers for ASA and working out all the config for that, because there won't be any tools for ASA. It's all going to be config files and command line until that evolves a little bit. Yeah, exactly. That's it, Dr. Smiley. Yeah, chunky. Unfortunately, when I dump the file into Excel and find out how many points people have, it doesn't lie. So yeah, I just think that the amount of effort or work we would have to put into Gaia again to relaunch the server, and possibly right when we're in the process of launching brand new servers on a platform that we've never used before, get a little bit complicated. Hey, it entertained everybody for a couple of weeks.
Yeah, totally.
I wouldn't didn't cost you anything. So I wouldn't say it was a bad thing.
I'm going to interject for 2 seconds to answer a question because I think it's a good one. So Call Me V asked, so as new to this group, new person, base building
Yeah.
/ current medium render distance, what exactly constitutes a base? An established workshop and build, or something as little as a 3x3 hut? So we had a chat about this recently, and the conclusion we came to is the reason we keep people medium render from each other is twofold. One, it means that players flying past don't have to render a great big chunk of stuff and then another great big chunk of stuff. It's horrible. The other reason is it gives server a little bit more performance. We've obviously got areas shutting down and loading up as render distances come in and out and things like that. So it all helps. As for what constitutes a base, so if this is a main base and this is somewhere where you're going to call your home, that is a main base. 3x3 huts, little workshops and things like that, we're not too fussed about. But please make sure that you give the person whose base you're building next to enough room to expand, or try and take a little corner somewhere that they're probably not going to use, and just be considerate about it. That said, if it gets out of hand and people can't sort of get their heads around being nice to each other and considerate, then we'll probably have to start nuking bases again. Because it's not fair to everybody, and it's not fair to the people who then can't build. What you have to bear in mind is when you put something next to someone's structures, they can't build next to it. They also can't deploy their dinos next to it, and it all becomes a little bit of a pain in the backside.
It comes back to a bit of common sense and courtesy to the other players on the server, and we only put rules in place when people start taking the piss. We don't want to just create rules for the sake of creating rules. And every rule that we've got has come about because we've let the players on the cluster do exactly what they want. It's got to a point where they're doing something that is harmful to the cluster or the community, so we've had to put a rule in place to prevent that and a mechanic for enforcing it.
Yeah.
So it's just please try and be considerate human beings, and everyone will get on fine.
Yeah. Also, with regards to the render rule, what will happen is if somebody reports you, or if an admin goes by and sees an infraction, we have a channel in Discord called Base Moves. And so long as you have the Discord role, you will see that, and you will get pinged. So if you're on Discord, an admin will ping your name. You typically get 5 days to move the base before we do anything. We don't believe in just nuking people's stuff for the sake of it. It's not fun for anyone. That said, if you're off, you're working, you have a life, we get that. And all you have to do is get in touch with an admin, open a ticket and say, hey, I've seen it. I'm sorry. I'm moving. But absolutely fine with that. No problem at all. And for those of us, as DJ said, who aren't familiar with the cluster, we try not to put too many rules in place, like he said. It gets horrific when you're trying to follow 100 different rules in 100 different places. And we generally have one sort of general rule, which we call don't be a dick. It is exactly as it says on the tin. If you think you're doing something wrong and you have to ask, then common sense dictates you're probably right. But it's a community after all. We're all about players playing together here and getting on well together, having a great community of players who play multiple games. And you should be able to have fun. So we do our best, but in certain situations, for the best of the server, and usually it's down to the best of the community, we do have to put some rules down. But yes, we're a little bit different. Best I can say is if you've got an issue, talk to us. Always up for listening.
Lizard just asked a question, not related to that, but a general art question. So I'll just hop in there and answer it while we can.
Yeah.
Plans to speed up breeding? Unfortunately, or fortunately, no. We have tried faster breeding rates. We have tried slower breeding rates. We've tried having items which selectively speed up breeding for paying for it. We've tried missions on Genesis that speed up breeding rates. And pretty much we found anything faster than 5 times is just too fast. People are spewing out dinos like crazy. The way around that is the propagator. Put your eggs in put your dinos in the propagator and use that. And it can just keep on going. The Sol terminal does collect does collect eggs. Just have to turn the automation on, and the hatchery collects them as well. But to be honest, I'd use the hatchery. It's got a faster incubation rate than Sol Terminal, and use the Sol Terminal to pick up the babies. Hopefully that makes sense.
Can we go back to shaving Kevin's instead of Richard? Do we have Richards in the chat? Is that what this is about?
No, I won't be replaced with anything other than ASA when it launches.
We're close to that now. So if anyone, once we've got that sorted and ticking, then we can look at other things. Thank you for that, Junkie.
Okay, so that kind of covers off what's happening with Gaia. We will be closing that down, and we will be issuing points refunds.
Yep.
Then we will also have a new page on the site, which will bring together all the important information you need to know about Arc, well, starting with Arc, and that will have its own channel on Discord, which will be sort of like Arc rules, Arc game rules, or something like that, where we can point everybody that's new to that section and say, hey guys, read this please, because this applies on our cluster. Other than that, we're still continuing to chase down stability problems. We know servers are crashing we're losing one more than once a week, sometimes multiple times a week. The team are doing a brilliant job in bringing them back up again, but they shouldn't be crashing in the first place. So that's part of what we're doing tomorrow, with tons of updates coming in from the developers to see if they can address some of the issues that we've been having. I just haven't been able to deploy them because I haven't really had the facilities to do that.
House or PC to do so. Yeah.
What happened with Lost Island? On Lost Island, we tried a wild dino wipe. That didn't help with the performance of the server. So that rules out anything like overspawns, crazy balls of dinos running around, all that kind of stuff. So all that leaves is somebody's base or automation or something happening with something somebody has built. It can't be anything else.
Yeah.
It's not wild, so it has to be player made. My guess would be somewhere on the map there is something horrible going on, and somebody flew over that area, activated the horribleness, and then that caused permanent performance problems for everybody else. We restart the server, the whole server goes into stasis again, and until somebody discovers what's causing the problem, it'll come back.
So for those of you who've never heard of what stasis is, what are they talking about? Arc's map is basically, to simplify it very brutally, is sectioned up into kind of chunks. So imagine a big hexagon picture of chunks. And when you fly over an area, it loads that. It builds the bases, it pops everything in, it calculates all the snap points on buildings, little known point. Every single snap point on every single wall, foundation, pillar, all gets calculated when the base loads. So we have had a problem before with a particular member who had built a beautiful big glass base out of single 1x1 glass walls. And this was a similar problem. Whenever somebody went over that base and it took ages to find where it was, you would see the same thing happen, exactly what's happening on Lost Island at the moment. Once we'd found the base and the player cooperated, slimmed it down a little bit, the problem went away. Now we've had admins on the server earlier on, and they've been flying around trying to see if they can find something. But if you see something like that, or you see a very, very big base that's used single walls to make, please let us know where they are. We can investigate. We can look at it. It's not at all to be calling someone out. It's just, could this be a problem? So if you do see really large glass structures or really large elaborate builds, it could well be that that's causing the issue. It's obviously not well dino wiped.
Or if you see three really large bases all right next to each other, all with all their dinos out and all pooping eggs onto the map,
Yeah,
that will also cause problems. That's partly why we have the medium view distance rule, not render distance. Render distance isn't a thing in this game. It's called view distance on your settings. That's why we have that rule. So multiple bases don't activate at the same time just by one person logging into a base.
yeah,
Because if you have, like, I don't know, 4 bases next to each other, they all have 30 prop plots churning out stuff. They all have maximum number of sol terminals, propagators, gachas,
yes,
aggregators, vivariums, all switching on at the same time and all doing their thing. And yeah, that's what causes lag.
yes. So as mentioned earlier with single walls and foundation stacking, the way this works is when a base is rendered, if you have a foundation, let's take a foundation as an example. A foundation has so many snap points on it. There's the top, there's the bottom, there's every single side. There's probably what, eight to 10 foundation snaps on every single foundation. Then you've got walls. Walls have got literally top, bottom, left, right. Every structure has a number of snap points, and when that building is rendered, every single one of those snap points has to be kind of gone through by the server, checked if it's connected to something, blah 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 blah, and they get into the thousands and millions of calculations. This is what drags things down, and why we enforce the medium render range. Is it possible to add something to the ticket? How what was happening when the crash occurred, flying over a base? Blah, 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 blah. Yes, you can absolutely put that in the comments for the ticket. We don't need to add something for that. You can just tell us when you create the ticket, tell us what island it on, your Steam ID, the usual stuff, and just say, I was flying across this, here are the coordinates, this is what error was when it crashed. I noticed a particular big base. Could somebody have a look at it? And yeah, we'll get somebody out and see. The more information you can give us, the better. The more descriptive you can be, the better. Yeah, that's why we ask for complete details, because then we can get, it's not just about what happened to you, it's about, can we prevent it again in the future? If we find there's an issue, we'll get that fixed so nobody else actually has the problem in the first place. So yeah, be as complete as you can and give us as much details as you can. You are not under investigation. You are not going to get sort of shouted at for it. Please do tell us what happened. We'd love to know.
I mean, what would be really nice is if they just didn't update anything anymore and just left it as it was probably about 2 months ago. We weren't having a single crash at all, ever.
Yeah,
It's just like, fuck it, stop it.
it'll stop soon, hopefully. TM.
We'll get there.
I think that's our ARC stuff covered this week, I believe. You can think of anything else?
There's a bunch, just so you're aware, there's a few things that we're looking at in the background on Arc. The My main PC has the software installed and stuff, and I need to have multiple screens for when I'm editing engrams and loop tables and stuff like that. So there'll be the new saddles going into, not tomorrow, but very soon. The new saddles going in for the Rhino into the cave drops. We'll also be looking at the aberrant spawns on aberration for additional aberrant dinos, because I think they're a little out of whack, along with the ones that are available to buy on the shop and the ones which aren't. There's there was one more thing as well. I was just logging into Trello to have a look. No, I think that was it. Yep, that was it.
Yeah, CCCs are great. If you can provide them in, if it's a base dispute, the CCC takes place at the spot you're standing on. So if you can give coordinates, a lot of players know this now. That's all for the better, and it means an admin can come straight to the server. Boom, they're in position and they can see what's going on straight away. It's quicker for them. Players go offline. Obviously, we don't want to be chasing you around the map. So the more info you can give us, we can get it resolved as quick as possible without you even being there. Okie dokie. It's gone awfully quiet. Somebody confirm I've not crashed, please.
No, you're fine.
Okay,
you're totally
cool.
fine.
Shall we move on from Mark then?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm going to go completely out of order now. I'm going to skip to 7 Days to Die. So, what's going on with 7 Days to Die? Here's what I've got. So, Darkness Falls is going to remain how it is for now. Next wipe, if we haven't seen an A21 Port of Darkness, we're going to raise the difficulty again by 1. And we will probably do a month by month wipe rather than 2 months. And we'll continue down this path, raising the difficulty 1 by 1 until A21 finally drops. At which point, we're obviously going to have to wipe anyway because everybody wants to see A21 Darkness Falls. So this is going to be like a kind of a last hurrah kind of thing. See how far you can push it. And that's the plan for Darkness. So every month we wipe and we up the difficulty again, 1 level. And the theory goes, I think he said October, so it coincides with ASA. So we've probably got a couple of wipes of increased difficulty where players who were bored can now push the envelope a little bit and see what they can do before the new release comes out. As for the A21 server, it's had a few modlets added since we spoke last time. First one was for lockable slots. The second one was 3-slot inventory for forges. 12-slot crafting queues, so that's up quite a bit, and the 60-slot backpack. This is very similar to how we used to do things. Go on.
I would say the A21 experience is looking very nice.
It is.
So if you are a fan of 7 Days Survival, worth checking out our A21 server.
It is very smooth. We are considering also, in fact, we will be adding in a hit indicator / mob health bar as requested. That's not a problem. We've also had I don't know if you remember it, the old server-side vehicles mod. Do you remember the old shark blimp? Sure, that was in when we played it. But I am reluctant to add the server-side vehicles. We had several problems with them before. Some of the storage on them is ridiculous. The fuel requirements on them, it required a lot of editing to balance them out properly. So I'm kind of reluctant to do that at the moment. And then the last bit of exciting news for 7 days, especially A21, I want to test a RWG map, which is a random world generated map. We haven't yet tried one on A21. We've stuck to Knave's Gain so far, which is the default map that it comes with. So I would like people's opinions on a wipe with a fresh map, RWG done, and we go from there. Suggesting when things mellow out and refund receive game giveaways again, please. Ah, you mean in-game goodies? Or are you alluding to in-game goodies, Shaggy? A full game giveaway. Ah, interesting. Okay. We will see what we can do. For those of you who are new, we sometimes go on a splurge occasionally. We've given away full copies of Ark and Rust and all sorts of stuff. In the past, we went as far and we had 7 days tournaments, didn't we? We were giving away sort of decent SSDs and things like that for the winners of tournaments. So it occasionally pays off to be at the round table. Everybody gets excited. We like to do a bit of give back when we can. So that's the way forward for 7 days to die at the moment. And if you are playing, let's have some feedback, please. What do you think about a wipe? And let's get those world holes we've got at the moment fixed, and get a brand new map in. Still reading. On the map belongs to Chunky. What's the population like on Conan at the moment, Chunky? You. I think a lot of people had got a little bit burnt out with Conan. There's some big bases on there.
No, there's a guy called Daddy playing on there. Chris has been off and on. Chunky hasn't been on for a while. Not since 19th. But yeah, we've people coming off and on, but not at the same time.
I had Conan, I would
Oh,
play
he
with
was killed by an elephant.
you. Conan is actually dirt cheap at the moment on CD keys. Yeah, like £4.
Yeah. And Chris was killed by a Zamorian cook too. So lots of death going on right now. But yes, there are people. There are a couple of people playing on our just little like Conan pop-up server. But Conan, what is it now?
Age of War.
Age of War has launched, and it is super cheap. And it's, I mean, if it's only £4, might as well get it and give it a go. It's brilliant. It's if you love Ark, you love Conan.
Jesus Christ, Shaggy, what have you been doing? Like failed drug deals or something?
Hey, I'm in debt as
You
well.
just bought
Bought
a
a
nice
house.
mansion. We know you've just bought a nice mansion. 2 car payments and rent. Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah.
If only we could divorce money and just be free. You know what I mean? It would be awesome. So right, that's 7 days. Conan we briefly alluded to. Yes, we have a Conan server. It runs quite well. It's quite heavily modded. The community are at the moment sort of dictating what mods are on there. It'll probably be looked at again when we next get around to the big update, because I'm sure something's coming after Age of War. But it's a cool play. If you've not played it before, it's a nice hack and slasher. It's building very much like Ark. It's pretty decent. Very cheap to pick up. And I'm still hanging my nose over. They're redoing June in like a Conan style,
Mhm.
and that looks
Oh, they are
quite cool.
indeed.
Yeah, that looks really nice. So if that is even half as decent as Conan, and they have it in a proper June universe, I think we might be heading down that route too. That sounds cool.
Uh,
Yeah.
no, just something really funny. Well, I thought it was funny.
Go on then. Give us a laugh.
Gaia. Good news, we've finished building the next update.
Lovely.
Okay, we will discuss.
Yes, fingers crossed for a good June game. That sounds cool. We haven't had a good June game in such a long time. And then we'll cover a little bit of Rust before we sign off and take any more questions people may have. So, Rust server at the moment, it's online. There are actually currently players on at the moment. It's quite low pop. Our Rust server is kind of different to most. We are not a hardcore PvP environment with a lot of toxic players screaming abuse at each other. In fact, we're pretty much the opposite. There's a lot of PV events. You can open world PvP to your heart's content. Your hotbar is protected at all times. You will only drop your backpack, so your guns will be protected, that sort of thing. And we only allow raiding at specific points during the month. So usually that is a few days mid-month. And then we have an all-out war at the end of the wipe, which is always the end of the month. So if you haven't tried Rust, again, that's pretty cool. And we were talking about that this morning. So Rust is going to be getting a relaunch on September the 7th, I believe we said, didn't we? Am I correct there? I think the 7th is the Thursday.
Well, that is, yes, September the 7th.
Okay, so it gives us a month to kind of gear up, DJ to get his PC back together. And the plan is on the 7th of September, for those of you who have been expressing interest in Rust and who are constantly asking questions, when is it going to happen? When is it going to kick off? It's going to start on the 7th of September. We will be, as of that point, openly advertising it like we do the Arc servers. We would love people to attend if they have registered interest with Rust. We have decided that there's going to be free tier 1 packs for that wipe for everybody to play with, not just people who are supporting us, but everybody who's going to get one. There's going to be much more on this soon, communicated within the Rust channels. We're working towards that. So if you are interested in Rust, grab your Rust role. For those of you who don't know, we separate our roles in Rust between games. So if you have the Arc role, you'll see all the Arc Discord related channels. Same goes for Rust. And we have another game section where we don't maintain those games and work on them as much as we do our main games. But 7 Days to Die is running nicely, Conan is running nicely, and we regularly sort of add servers, take them away. If it's popular, we play it for a bit. We've done a bit of Minecraft in the past. We've done some Project Zomboid, lots and lots of stuff. So if you are interested in Rust, grab your Rust role from the Reaper channel, reaction roll at the bottom, little Rust symbol, and more information is on the way as to a relaunch of Rust. And it's going to be a slow build. It always is with a new server. But we would appreciate everybody who wants to play on the 7th. If we can all get together, we'll all make it a good wipe, and we will start to grow from there with some advertising backing it up. Okay. So with regards to the tier 1 pack, and it said you don't have enough inventory to claim it, the tier 1 pack is a full loadout. So you have to empty your hotbar, empty your armor slots, and your backpack, and it basically slots all into place. So it's most probably because you had something on your toolbar or an armor slot, and it couldn't fill that, so it stops you wasting the pack.
So basically, anything you've got on you, sling it in your backpack, then claim the kit.
Art question for end on basis again. Is it acceptable to a small, medium, full, not necessarily tech, workshop base on each map, or one perma base and only one tiny spawn point house on all the cluster? Okay, so you have a 4K limit per tribe of building parts on every single map, and you are perfectly entitled to build a main base on every map if that is your dream. You are limited mainly just by that 4K building. There are a few other items if you do a show limits in games and chat, but there are a few items that are limited to so many per map. There are usually reasons behind that, which involve server calculations and automation. But no, you're not limited to just one base on one map. If you want to build a super base on every map, go for it. All good. All of the best bases as well are regularly scanned by our admin team, and in particular John, eventuating you see up in the staff section. He does all our socials, so generally we fly around, we get some nice pictures of bases. There are some beautiful ones, and I think this is the 6th time now we've made the community crunch, and we've had one of our players' bases featured by Wildcard themselves. So yeah, by all means, build some big bases. They get noticed. Crunch collection so far.
Yeah. In the Arc Media channel, there is a
cool.
collection of all the pictures that have gone in the community crunch so far and been featured by Wildcard.
Nice.
Mad Dog, you have a question? Event server loot drops. Yes, John, eventuating.
Yep.
Works hard.
Silent trooper is what he is. Chilly man works in the shadows.
Event server loot drops were OP, but now really poor. That's because the personal rewards are where it's at on the event server that you get when you kill the boss. The loot crates that come down, you have one of each color, and that is just kind of a free chance for anyone to get something of cave loot crate quality.
I'm sure somebody's also thinking at this point, what's an event server?
The loot on the event server was tweaked because basically people would visit once and never come back again. So what we had to do was balance it so that there was a reason to keep coming back, and at the same time give a good reward every time you went there. So I will show you what the event server is. Please take a look. It is evolving all the time. There's all the information on the event server and how to access it. And for the loot that drops, there is a pin in the Arc event server channel, which I will also link for you.
The event server is a whole experience. You spawn in the same spot every time. There is some story mode to it. There's going to be more lore added to it. You'll find yourself at a nice sort of rundown, overgrown teleporter spot with some very mysterious gates. So the plan is as follows. One of the gates leads to a portal room, which is the portal room for all of the dinosaur bosses that we host. Now they're aimed at kind of end game. They're there to test your skills, and there's some pretty cool rewards in there as well. There is also a portal to a raidable bases portal room, which is currently under construction and is looking really nice at the moment. So the way that's going to work is there's going to be different levels of raidable bases for players to run, starting at level 50 up to level 100, and then for players around level 150. There's going to be 6 of them in total. 3 of them are themed at groups, 3 of them are themed at solo players. So there's going to be something for everybody. And there's going to be some rewards there for being able to go in, accept the challenge, knock down the building, have some fun, that sort of thing. The third portal, which is kind of a newer sort of context, we're going to be moving the Hall of Heroes. So that's going to take some time. That's kind of a longer term project. But we're going to move it away from the Ragnarok server, which is currently really popular, quite heavy with players. And we're going to move it over to a nice, smoother experience server, which would be the event server, which has always got minimum players on, probably maximum 5 players at a time. There's no buildings on the event server. You can't build there. You go there just to run events and you leave. So the Hall of Heroes is going to be moved over there. Now, what the hall is we have a massive construction. It's really cool. It's currently available on Ragnarok, and it displays dioramas of all of the boss fights and the teams of players from the server who actually beat those bosses for the first time. There's also some sections for the admins, and there's some sections where we list names of all our supporters on the walls, that sort of thing. So that's kind of what the event server is. And then we can also move into and have some ideas about like where we used to do Halloween events. A lot of players here will have seen our Halloween events where we all fight zombies on an island. Really cool. We can then move those sort of things to the event server too, to make sort of no disruption, no sitting on a map that's got a lot of bases on, and have a smoother experience. Your name needs to be added to that. I'll give Sandy a poke.
What we'll do is we have a list of everybody that's ever supported the cluster. So we will just create a wall, I think, that just has an ever-growing list of supporters on it, or 3 walls.
Cool.
So
Yeah, that sounds cool.
rather than trying to maintain the list to the current supporters, we just add to it.
Yeah.
And we can just copy and paste the list into the text box, and away we go.
Yeah, it's like kind of like the Book of Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, and we love you, Dr. Smiley. Thank you very much. As we've said before, the supporters basically keep the servers running. 100% of that goes towards paying the bills, keeping the lights on, and investing in anything future we need. Obviously, we've got ASA coming, that sort of thing. Hardware has to be upgraded. So thank you again to all our supporters. You're amazing.
Right. I think that probably covers it for this evening.
I think it does.
Anyone got any final questions before we depart?
That's a
Bang on
good
the
one.
hour.
So for us new folks, who are you guys?
Who are we?
Yes, who are we? I'll let you take that one.
Okay. I'll send you a link.
That was terrible.
So,
There is actually a very good
no,
page on the website for each of us. Yes, it does need
yeah,
updating.
there is.
We need to add John to that. It does need updating, Scott. You're right.
So there's well, we're a bunch of players that originally started playing online games together, ranging from WoW, Eve,
Hmm.
Minecraft, and all that kind of stuff. And we started off on things like TeamSpeak, Mumble, Ventrilo,
Yeah,
those kind of things. And as they kind of faded out, I can't remember why we migrated to Discord, but we kind of moved over to Discord, and then it was like we just invited a few more people in and a few more people in. Then we decided, well, why don't we want to play Ark? So we set up an Ark server. We played that for like 2 years, and then decided, well, okay, we want some more people on here, so we made it public. What was it? We started on Valguero, I think.
we did. Yes.
Um, yeah, more options with Discord, and we didn't have to host it ourselves. Um, so yeah, we started on Valguero, then that got a bit popular. So then we started adding maps to it. Then we did all the canon maps, and then we added more maps. Then we started throwing up more games. Then it got a bit expensive. Then we had to start paying for it, and it just kind of went from there. I remember us.
We have played
We
on the
met.
centre,
No, we did play on the center, but the map that we went live with
which
was Valguero.
yeah, the map that WickedNinjaGames was on was originally Valguero, but almost every group of friends has ever done. I'll elaborate on that a little bit then. So yes, it's true. About 15, 20 years ago, some of the oldest members of the team met. Um, I met DJ in the game Eve Online, and
Yeah.
Scorp as well, and we tried to murder each other in space. That's where it started. We obviously got chatting, got to know each other. That was my first MMO. So at that point, I'd played Mega Drive before and I'd played games before, but that was my first MMO. Um, so from what I remember, yes, friends were made 20 years ago. Now that sort of thing has carried on. The same cliquey group of people carried on for about 20 years to this point. We've, like DJ said, we've gone through WoW, we've gone through all sorts of games. You name it, we've played it. We host our own servers because both of us are sort of IT background for a living, sort of that's what we do. So we've always been very tech savvy and we've always hosted our own stuff. Um, but there's only really been a few, started off with just 3 or 4 people. And over
Yeah.
the years and different games, we kind of accumulated people who stick together and sort of entwined in each other's lives, that sort of thing. It's kind of weird. We've seen the likes of Tom, who founded Wicked Ninja Games with us. We've seen him from, I recruited him in Eve when he was like a late teenager, early 20s. And 20 years later, he's now grown up, he's got kids, he's got married. And we've kind of seen the whole life process of kind of all of us has been 20 years in the making. And then,
Yeah.
yeah, at this point, about 3 years ago, we're playing Ark. And we've always discussed, like, well, we've got this cool server and yeah, it's fun, and we've all got at least 4,500 hours in Ark, and it was kind of what would it look like if it was populated? What's so cool? And yeah, like PJ said, it gets expensive to keep servers up, so a few people came in, and a few more people came in, and then if we've been going what nearly 3 years now, I would say
Yeah. Okay.
probably half of that time was completely dead, um, and then it blew, and when it blew big time, and through I think I would like to think hard work, effort, and the fact that we are gamers at our core anyway. You know, it's what we all do. it's just blown up big time, and it's kind of really weird and freaky. We have people who've come in over the past few days, and it's like, well, considering this is the only decent cluster out there, and I'm like, what, really? We know there is clusters out there bigger than us. We do,
Yeah.
but we,
Most of those are PvP though.
yes, but we do pride ourselves on the fact that I think our support and the systems we've got in place here and the knowledge we've got puts us far ahead of anyone else. Um, but it's really cool to see it sort of take off. And this is where we are at this point. We started develop the Rust server. We would like to get a different audience for that. Our 21 server for 7 days has always been popular. In fact, we've always been popular for 7 days to die. And I've had several players over the years say, there is really no other server out there. Will you host this? This is why 7 days came back. At this point, we'd actually given up on 7 days, and we're like, well, it's in a bit of a state at the moment. We're just going to ditch it. And we've had returning players saying, please host the damn thing again, because nobody out there can do it properly. And it's just blown up. And here we are 3 years later, and it's kind of like, whoa, and turning into a kind of a, especially work wise and the amount of stuff
I
that needs to
think
be doing, it's a full-time bleeding job now.
to Junky's point on Star Citizen, in my lifetime, I don't think that is ever going to be turned into a fully fledged, complete game.
I would love it to, and its concept is
I love
amazing.
it too.
But I don't think so.
I don't think it's ever going to happen, given the amount of money they've eaten. Oh God!
Do you know who says things like that? Actually, Chunky, people who've invested into Star Citizen.
Look, just Google Starfield, go play that, and that'll get your rocks off.
I don't blame you, because when I first heard what they wanted to do with it, and I honestly believe to this day that the creator has the best intentions at heart, and whenever he's talked about it, he talks sort of very, what's the word I'm looking for? He's very passionate about a certain genre of game, which I'm also very passionate about, and I got hooked when I heard him talk. It's obvious that he cares. It's obvious that he wanted to do the best thing ever, but I think he's bitten off way more than he can chew.
I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong.
I was watching, was it Cannabis Play It? I think it was. Was it
Yeah.
Cannabis? Somebody was streaming it for me, and it looks cool. The concept is awesome, but I think he's drowning.
I mean, as far as I'm aware, last time I checked on it, it's half a dozen gameplay elements in standalone kind of environments that you can pop into and have a dick around with. It feels like it's kind of EVE Online meets Elite Dangerous meets kind of Starfield, what Starfield will be. And when you can bring all three together and make it into one seamless game, it will be absolutely amazing. But I think I'm going to be dead before that happens.
Yeah.
Which is a real shame. Right.
In fact, I'm going to degenerate into one more story while we were on the subject of who are we and all that sort of thing. It's one of my favorite ones. So in terms of, like, as I was saying, meeting people and establishing what is essentially a big family of what we are now, being so intertwined in our own personal lives. One of my favorite stories, we used to play WoW, as we mentioned. Yeah, oh God, says Scorpio, he goes again. So we used to play WoW, as mentioned before. We had an off-tank whose name was Death's Girl. We had a druid healer, whose name was Deatheye. Deatheye, Death's Girl, they were a couple. And we were playing WoW. We were raiding, typical raid group, blah, 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 blah. The thing that changed it for me, and the kind of idea we're founded on, I had a phone call at 2 o'clock in the morning one day, and I was scrambling for my phone, and I'm kind of, what the fuck, and who's ringing me at 2 o'clock in the morning? You bunch of arseholes. Gets to my phone, and I see this foreign number that I do not recognize, and I'm like, scam call, 2 o'clock in the morning, great. Sod it. I hit the phone, hello, and I get this raving voice on the other end. Obviously excited, speaking broken English, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning, and I'm kind of like, well, where is my head at and what is going on right now? And it became apparent that the guy screaming on the other end of the phone was actually our healer from WoW. And my off tank, Death Girl, had just given birth to a little baby boy. And the dipstick druid healer, before he'd phoned his own parents, had actually phoned the guildmaster, which happened to be me at the time, at 2 o'clock in the morning to tell me that my off rank had just had a baby boy. So that's kind of where we come from. It was that concept of sort of like just getting to know people and having fun, and a different side of what is now a very toxic gaming environment does exist, and we would still like it to exist. That's kind of what we're founded on. But I'll never forget that 2 a.m. conversation with a screaming Death Eye at 2 o'clock in the morning, trying to tell me that Death Girl had given birth, and just wondering what the hell was going on with my life. The only Blizzard game I play is Diablo. Stuck from the first game. Are you playing 4? What do you think?
I remember playing Diablo 1 to death, playing that on multiplayer as well, I think, if I remember rightly, through a LAN.
Yeah, you could. 4 is
Diablo
so
2, I
addictive.
didn't really get hooked into. 3 was played a bit on console.
Old WoW was cool.
Yeah, everything up to Wrath of the Lich King. I'm down with WoW there.
Yeah, we kind of started. What was it? Beginning of Burning Crusade, I think, when we started. Kind
Yeah,
of timed it
we
quite nicely.
started end of vanilla, start of Burning Crusade. I
I,
remember thinking, oh, WoW's copied everything good from EverQuest.
I think at that point I wasn't thinking. It was just we wanted to get out of Eve so bad after what happened there, and I wasn't even aware that Burning Crusade was new. It was just another game.
Yeah.
WoW was good. WoW is cool, but it's a former shell of what it was.
Right.
Anyway,
I have to go. I
yes,
have minutes left on my battery.
we will wrap it up then. So this has been the Roundtable. This is what we do every Tuesday afternoon. Hopefully you will join us again when we have news on games and things changing. We let you know here. And as usual, we have been the Wicked Ninjas, and you have always been awesome. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. No, not happy birthday gift. Where's the buy one? The gift's not loading.